Okay, so we're now 2-0, having beaten Bug and Burn. And yeah, we're going to keep another pretty good 7. I'd prefer one of the preordains to be some mana of some sort, especially with the Dark Petition in hand. Dark Petition is kind of a clunky card if you don't have any rituals. At least like an Infernal Tutor, you can, if you draw into like LEDs, you can turn it into something. But that's all right. We will probably manage to go through enough of our library with the cantrips that we have that we'll find a way. And there's the LED that we were talking about before. Opponent's leading on Ancient Den and Ornithopter, which means either Steel Stompy or Affinity, I'd assume. Affinity, I wouldn't imagine Steel Stompy would play Ornithopter. I imagine they'd play Ravager. Alright, so we want to keep the Ranafilth, and we probably... I almost think we want to pitch the Thoughtseize back off the Brainstorm instead of the Ranafilth, just to make sure that we have a third land. But Thoughtseize for a potential Chalice of the Void is also pretty reasonable here. So opponents just turning their excess lands into excess damage. Their hand clearly isn't doing much at the moment. Whereas our hand is a ritual off winning. And the Cabal ritual will do just fine. So I think we can go Dark Ritual into Rain of Filth. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter too much here. That will give us Threshold on the spot. And this will just let us go get a Past in Flames. Okay, and I think our opponent is... Oh no, they haven't scooped yet. I think we have a good reason to Thoughtseize. Okay, so they're not going to let us. This, we probably just want our standard Stompy sideboard, which means probably cutting some number of discard spells and bringing in a fair amount of removal. So I think a minimum of 4 bounce spells. So you can see I don't know how to sideboard here. As Affinity is just not a deck that I've come across. I feel like they have a fairly fast win, and empty can be a liability. But I also think sometimes we just need to be able to go under hate. So we've just put some minor hedges in. So just 3 removal spells in this particular case. And I think this game we're going to be heavily incentivized to Brainstorm on turn 1. If we can go something like a Brainstorm into Ritual plus LED, we can drop a lot of goblins on the board. Okay, and that I think means that we should have definitely brainstormed. Because now we're going to get Thaliad here, which isn't the end of the world for us. We're able to beat the Thalia, but we need to get some decent draws to make it happen. And those aren't it. Nor is Tendrils of Agony, unfortunately. So we're desperately hunting for a Chain of Vapor or an Abrupt Decay. Whereas our opponent is probably going to start vomiting out the rest of their hand and probably get a really fast clock on us soon. We're lucky that they're not in a position to cast the Mirror Enforcer yet. Oh, Chalice of the Void's gross too. So now we're on Abrupt Decay or nothing. And our opponent should be able to cast the Enforcer now, I think, for 3 mana. Which won't quite leave us dead on board next turn. But we do need to draw perfectly. And that'll actually kill us. So he's gonna be able to swing in for 8 next turn. Turn after, so we need to draw Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay won't stop 6 coming at us the turn after that. So that would have been GG's. So now we know he's on a Chalice deck. We'll probably cut some of our discards. So Duress is a reasonable cut here. Thoughtseize is guaranteed to take Thalia's. Instead, I think we can just ignore. We have 2 possible plays here. One is to Ad Nauseam. And Ad Nauseam with 2 mana floating is pretty likely to get us a win, especially from 19 life. So we can have something like black and blue floating. If we don't win off the Ad Nauseam, probably win next turn, so long as our opponent doesn't have multiple lock pieces. Our other option, which is possibly a little bit riskier, we'd need to dodge like Fairy Macabre, is Past in Flames. So Past in Flames won't get us Tendrils, but it should get us something like 20 Goblins. So what we can do is we can Infernal Tutor with 7 mana. We're going to need to keep 1 extra red. Actually, no, we don't. Doesn't matter if we keep an extra red floating at any point. We will Past in Flames with 7 mana floating. So you can see I'm making up my mind here. So with Past in Flames we have 7. We got a 3 mana after Past in Flames. We got a 5 mana after Dark Ritual. 6 after Infernal Tutor grabs us LED. And this should get us like a 1 turn kills worth of Storm. So we should crack the LED for blue so that we can brainstorm. And preordain. And cast empty the warrens for 11 storm. And I'm not sure our opponent has a way to beat that. They do have some fast wins, I'm pretty sure, that probably do involve Volt Scourge. But they also need to be able to block 2 goblins. And so that's going to get us the match.